Welcome to week 35 of Walk the Plank, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the week that was and the week that's coming up here for Pirate Athletics. We've had a busy couple of weeks here, really hitting a sort of our busiest time of the year as our postseason is upon us. And I'm joined by always my co-host, Gene Winters. Thanks for being here, Gene.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a busy week. Postseasons are beginning, and some have ended for boys tennis, but a lot of action to talk about for all the spring sports teams.
Definitely, and we'll get right to business here. Armani Ciappone is our athlete of the week on our boys' side again. Welcome back, Armani. I believe this is our first three-time guy. Yeah. He was our fall, then he was a winter, and now a spring athlete of the week for his performance at the CVC track championships that we hosted here at Perry on Tuesday and Thursday. So the max events you're allowed to be in track are 4, and Armani placed first in the 300 hurdles, first in the 100 hurdles, second in high jump, second in long jump. So a fantastic overall. He was certainly nominated and got votes for MVP. Just missed out on that. The kid from Madison jumped really well. Yeah. He had a weird thing. He was a shot put champ, the discus champ, and a high jump champ. You don't see that very often. So lost out to some good competition there, but nonetheless a fantastic CVC. Helped lead us to a second place finish overall for the boys. Congratulations, Armani. What was your mindset going into CVCs? Did you have specific goals? Yeah, obviously high jump is what you were in here for in the wintertime, being the state champ in the indoor meet. But these hurdles, not that they're coming out of nowhere, but really, getting first place in those was something pretty spectacular to watch.
Yeah, so going into the meet, I expected to do the opposite. I wasn't expecting to win the hurdles. I was expecting to win my 2 jumps. Yeah. Because for high jump, I haven't lost in Ohio since the first week of indoor. Right. And then long jump, I was seeded first by almost half a foot. Right. So I expected to win those 2. But then long jump, Traxton had a half a foot PR and beat me.
Yeah, I saw he was over 21 feet.
Yeah, so he's jumping really well right now. And then Ryan jumped the 6.6, which puts him like 7th in the state right now. So he's been jumping really good. And then the 110s, I was seeded first going into. Yeah. The CVC is not that good at the 110s for our part of it, because I think a 15.6 is what I ran. It won it, but that won't win you most meets. Right. And then the 3s, that was my 3rd race ever doing them. I did it at a dual meet once with one other person running it, and then I ran the prelims. And in the prelims, I kind of tried to be a hurdler, and I just felt slow in between the hurdles. So then yesterday, I was mad about high jump, so I was just sprinting the whole thing. And the hurdles are so low, I can just step over them. Yeah. And that's really how I'm just going to keep running them. Just sprint it and not worry about the hurdles as much.
So then obviously 39.97 is the winning time for the first place at the CVC. That's a PR for you, I'm assuming? Yeah. Okay. And that, I talked to Coach Sarvis. He was out there yesterday, came back a little bit and helped out at the high jump in different places. And he's like, man, I think he was sort of floored by your 39. He's like, if he gets 39, he's going to be down in Columbus for that event as well. That projects to get you down to the state level. So, keep that up. Sort of a newfound little event here. So, does it take away, obviously, high jump running, you were high jumping on Thursday, running on Thursday, does it take away, you just got to be in good shape, or does it take away from each other if you're in too many events?
Well, at states, I feel like it'll definitely take away because they're back-to-back instead of having that day in between. Right. So me and Coach Richards talked about it last night, and we just have to. He said we were going to have another conversation about what I would do at states, depending on what I make it out in.
Okay.
So not going back to back, running and jumping on Tuesday and then coming into Thursday. What did you do Wednesday to prepare, and then Thursday to get out there and actually do it, or did you just continue with a normal routine?
Wednesday, I went to Adam, got stemmed in my quad for a little bit, and then I went out and practiced. We didn't really do much Wednesday. I didn't have any handoffs because I wasn't in a relay, so I just did over the first hurdle and my hurdle mobility, and then I was good to go.
And hurdles for you, obviously you said you ran disappointed or mad. Is there something that you're trying to get out of the gate fast? Is there a cadence that you're trying to, so many steps in between hurdles? Is there any kind of philosophy or mindset that you used for those races?
Well, I think it's supposed to be 12 steps to the first hurdle, but I've never really practiced the threes, so I kind of was just running as fast as I could. We do like time trial open threes, so I was just sprinting like I was racing Dane and Xavier and that again.
Okay, awesome. Do you have a preference between now? You haven't done the 300 a lot, but between the 100 and 300 now that maybe you have a little a style, if you will, or just running as fast as you can in the 300. Do you like one over the other?
Well, the threes are definitely easier to me.
Yeah.
I was talking to Braden last night, and the threes, we were kind of saying it's just you get the hurdlers that can run a fast 4, but they aren't fast enough to run a really good 4, and they're great 300 hurdlers, and I feel like that's kind of what I'm at right now.
Yeah, you're right in that range, yeah. So what's the 4, what's your favorite event? Is high jump sort of your favorite?
I like the 2 jumps. I feel like long jumps more competitive. Like high jump was the first time I've lost, and it's the first time I have anyone besides in Myrtle Beach jumping with me at that height.
Right.
So long jumps, I feel like more competitive because if someone pops one really good jump, I have to come back and get a really good jump.
Drill it, yeah. Yeah, Coach Sarvis said he knew you were disappointed on the high jump yesterday. He said you were mad you slammed the mat or with your fist or whatever. He's like I usually don't see that emotion from Armani. He told him to bottle it up and use it, and you probably used it in the 300 a little bit, like you said earlier.
Yeah, I was annoyed, I guess.
Yeah, right. Well, all right, so moving on from CVC, obviously a fantastic performance there. First in 2 events, second in 2 events. Now we're moving on to districts. We host again on Thursday and Saturday of next week. So come on out. We'll have about 40 schools here Thursday and Saturday next week for the district track meet. It's Division II. We won't have to see the Madison kid. What other jumpers do you have an idea? I mean, it's to get out to regionals, not to state, but so I'm sure we have some confidence in that. But any goals for next week as districts or regionals go on, I guess, for the rest of the postseason?
Well, I know for high jump there's Anthony at 6'2", and he's gone 6'4", so he's a 6'4" kid. There's a kid from VSJ that I jumped with all summer who's a 6'1" or 6'2".
Okay.
And then Glenville has a freshman or sophomore going 6'2", but I think my opening height will get me out, and the 2 bar clearances should win me it. But I definitely I need to start jumping higher so I can get ready for the competition. And then for long jump, our district's loaded. It's basically a regional. We have the Lake Catholic kid with a 23, a Glenville kid with a 22, a Beechwood 21.10, and then me and Traxton 21.8 and 21.7.
Okay.
So it's gonna take a 21 to make it out of our district. And Richards told me he's never seen a 21 stay home from state. So.
Wow. So it is loaded up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you use those numbers then over these next 5-6 days to prepare? You're going out to practice knowing that you have to get to this point. So how does your practice routine or regimen change?
So after Traxton beat me in long jump Tuesday, I texted my high jump coach. I do long jump work with him too, and set up a day for Monday to practice. So I'll get my 2 jumps done there, and then the rest of the week is really light so I can like start my peak for regionals and states. But the numbers wise, I think me and Traxton should make it out, and then Traxton and McCoy will make it out for their vaults as well.
And knowing those numbers and knowing your body and how you move, is there something that you feel needs to change to get that extra 2 inches, or is it just run your normal jump and you'll be fine?
For high jump right now, it's more mentally blocking for me. Like when I jump, like at the 6'5", Sarvis said that I'm way above it, but I'm coming down on it. Like my first jump, I hit my head on the top of the standard, and there's like 4 inches in between the bar and the top of the standard. So I hit my head on that thinking it was the bar, so I just gave up on the jump, and I still almost cleared it without really finishing the jump. So I think I just need to get past the mental block, and then long jump is run fast and jump. Long jump's simpler.
Now, to get past that mental, is it music that you're going to listen to? How do you get into that right mindset?
I kind of just gotta stop thinking so much and just go jump, because I'm capable of jumping the heights. It's just me stopping myself from it right now.
All right, Armani. Well, this is your 3rd time here. We're going to give you another certificate. DQ is going to be very familiar with you. There you go. Free meal deal from DQ. Get your Blizzard. We won't put you through all of the questions here. because you've answered them twice already. But let's just talk about you as your senior. So you graduate here in 2 days. You're going to walk across the stage here and move on. You're going to, let's talk about your college decision. We might have done this the last time, but let's just talk a little bit about being a senior. How's the last season been? How are you feeling about graduation, and then what are your next steps?
I'm happy to be done with school. I don't really do anything. Like, I didn't really have class, not like the last semester as it is, but track-wise, it's going to be weird to not have the same kids I've been with the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, everyone on the team now that I talk to really I've been running with since my 8th grade year. So it's just going to be weird to not have them.
Yeah. And you're going to University of Cincinnati. Do you remember what you're going to major in?
I'm in the health science department, and I'm going to go for medical imaging.
Okay.
Which is like the x-rays, basically.
All right. Well, Armani, we will update everybody next week when we will give an update on our district, whether we don't know when we're going to shoot it yet, but whether it's a little preview of districts or as you go, we go district, Thursday, Saturday, regional at Fitch, Austintown Fitch, the following Thursday, Saturday, state in Columbus at Jesse Owens, the following Friday and Saturday, first weekend in June. So we'll be watching and rooting you on for sure, and best of luck and congratulations on a great career here at Perry in multiple sports. You're great for our football program, did amazing things there, and for track as well. So congratulations. It's been fun watching you these 4 years.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Armani.
Thank you.
Armani Ciappone will be wrapping up his career here as a Perry Pirate over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully get to that first weekend in June and get to watch him down in Columbus.
Yeah, another exciting journey to watch over the next couple of weeks. And as we've talked about it, and as the postseason now begins, for the seniors, it's their last chance for some of them to go out there and capture that crown, the goal that they've been working towards since freshman year.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, again, just sort of culminating a great career for him. And he's been a leader in multiple sports for us, and just a fantastic person, great role model, good athlete for us, just fantastic. So we're happy for him, and we wish him nothing but the best. But from senior to freshman, come on up. Hazel Cannonnan is our female athlete of the week. Welcome, Hazel. Thanks for being here. Yep. There's your Dairy Queen certificate. Thank you to DQ for always supporting our Athlete of the Week program. So congratulations. Hazel was our 300 hurdle champion yesterday at the CVC Championships again. So we got Armani 300 champ. We sweep the boys and the girls. Congratulations on that. Have you run how long have you been running the hurdles specifically? Was it something you just started doing more in middle school, or have you been doing track longer than just the last couple of years?
No, I just started in 7th grade, but it's definitely a big difference because there's not 300 hurdles in middle school. So
it's 200 hurdles, right? So you add an extra 100 in there, and it's quite a difference. You're exactly right. So 48:20 was your time yesterday to win the CVC Championship. Is that your PR? Is that your best time of the year? Is that what you were expecting to run?
Yeah, that's my PR. I've actually had a lot of PRs over the season. I started at the 54. So I've dropped quite a bit.
Well, we know that's the goal coming in. We talk about it, whether it's, we're going to talk to Coach Carino here in a couple of minutes, whether it's a team sort of peaking at the right time, and same for track. We're always looking to PR, maybe not at every dual meet, but every week get a little bit better. And you've obviously taken that time down from the mid-50s to 48:20. And then what are some of the goals for you next week at the district level? Again, we're hosting here Thursday and Saturday, so you'll be running on your home track. Any goals as we head into next week?
Yeah, my major goal is to get at least a second faster, because I think if I get a 47, I can make it to state for the 300 hurdles.
Okay.
So that's the goal.
Awesome.
Now from your 54s now to 48 and potentially 47, what has changed for you? Have you adjusted? What is it, just running the races and becoming familiar with everybody? What has changed for you?
It's mostly like mentality, because when I started the season, since I didn't do indoor track, I did swim. I kind of forgot how to hurdle, so I would stutter really bad over the hurdles. So I just had to get over that mental block, and then now I can run it pretty smoothly.
And now swimming from winter, pretty good transition. We have a large number of our kids that swim and then go do track, probably in pretty good shape. Is it a good cardio way to get ready for the track? Not that we're discounting the swim season, but get ready for the track season. You feel pretty good in shape as you head into the spring.
Yeah, it definitely helped a lot.
Okay.
And obviously, the same thing for cross country. You were here as an athlete of the week back in the fall. Obviously, two different things. You're running on trails and not on a track. But is there any comparison or anything that in the cross country season that might have helped you during track season?
Yeah, definitely like the endurance of cross country helped me like push the last 100 or 300 hurdles because it's just like grit. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's just tough to get through that.
Yeah, it's a grueling race. There's no doubt about it. I watched it yesterday, obviously pretty closely, and it's like, oh man, you're going all out for as fast as you can for pretty much an entire lap, and then jumping every so often. So it's one of those. Any other events that you do for track? What are you have? Is the 300 your favorite, or are you doing other things? Are you looking to be in other events next week as well for districts?
The 300 is definitely my favorite. I do
Okay.
100 hurdles too.
Okay.
I'm like pretty decent at the 400 too, but like
Okay.
it's right before the 300 hurdles, so I can't really do both.
Right, and so we talked about you won the 300. What did you place in any other things yesterday? I tried to highlight like first and second places yesterday on Twitter. What other ones did you compete in CBCs?
I got fourth in the 100 hurdles.
Okay.
Our 4x1 team got second, and our
Okay.
4x4 team got second.
Okay, so you're running 4x1 as well. What goals for that team or the 4x4? What are you guys thinking to do for postseason stuff there? Are your times in the ballpark to make a run at the, whether, first things first, obviously district to regional, but to get to that ultimate goal of being at the state level?
Yeah, we actually had a season PR in the 4x1 yesterday, so we're
Okay.
hoping to make it to districts in that. We just have to get our handoffs down better.
Okay, who else is on the 4x1 team?
Addie Trefsker, Marley Freeman, and Brooklyn Baker.
Okay.
And where are you in that rotation? What leg of the race are you?
I'm the third leg.
Third. How has that been? Handoffs, exchanges. Have you guys been able to practice a lot? I know when we had some of the boys on, they've had routines where they're shuffling guys in and out. Has this been the main four all season long, or are you guys rotating in girls as well?
Yeah, this has been the main four all season long, but we've switched like what order we're in some to like play around with handoffs.
Okay. And so we ask Armani the same question. Any idea what some of your competition is? Now, he's had 4 years of practice at this, and he knows how to look at things. You're a freshman. It'll be your first go-around. Are you looking in the 300 hurdles, like who you have to beat next week or a time that you have to beat? Obviously, your 47 will get you to state. What are you looking for, anybody in particular next week to sort of push you?
Not yet. I haven't
Okay.
really talked to Richards about
Right.
it yet.
Okay. Well, just go out and run fast. That's all you got to do.
Basically.
So, all right, Hazel. We will, since this is only number 2 here for you, being here twice, once in the fall, once in the spring. We'll get to know you a little bit more. We'll just ask you some off the wall questions here. Favorite food for Hazel?
Orange chicken,
Orange chicken. Any particular place you're going to get your orange chicken?
Panda Express.
Panda Express. All right, that's is good. I can attest to that. Favorite subject in school?
Probably biology.
Biology. Okay. Movie or television series? Either one.
Outer Banks on Netflix.
Okay. Yep. So again, only a freshman. Favorite memory thus far from Perry? It can be from youth, rec, travel, middle school, and then even your freshman year here. What so far? What's going to rank at the top?
Probably just like anything with the cross country team. They're really
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
like them.
Good group, fun, hang out, good bonding. Yep. Okay. Any hobbies? So you're obviously a three-sport athlete for us here. You're either running or swimming a lot. Anything else that you like to do outside of those?
I like playing guitar and
Oh,
going to
cool.
the beach with my dog.
Awesome. All right. And if you could visit anywhere in the world, money's not an object, where are you heading?
Probably Hawaii, somewhere tropical.
Somewhere tropical. Hawaii is definitely that. It would fit that bill. So, all right, Hazel, congratulations again. Thanks for being here today. We will update everybody as we go. Best of luck next week at districts and for the rest of the track season.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Hazel Cannon, Athlete of the Week here, again, representing our track program on the girls' side.
And a couple other champions that we
Yeah.
had yesterday. Dane Pike in the 400. Traxton, as Armani mentioned, and then Emily Meckenbauer as well.
Emily Meckenbauer, Traxton, Dane in the 4, Armani twice, Hazel. Yeah, a good, not shocking with all of those champions. And we had several second place finishes as well, runner-up finishes that the girls got first and the boys got second at track. And we'll be back at it again next week. Again, next Thursday has the makings of a very busy day on campus. We're going to have a sectional championship baseball game here going on. We'll have 40 teams here for district track. Our softball team, will potentially be in a district. We'll talk to Coach Carino. So that's a good segue. Let's bring up Coach Carino here as we start talking about softball. Thanks for being here, Coach. We appreciate your time. So far, obviously, really strong season. 18-7, 10-1 in the CVC. Lake Division champions, CVC champions. Let's just talk about that because I never want to discount CVC championships, even if this is year 2 in a row that we've won it. And, softball over the years, if you go into the gymnasium Sunday at graduation, you're going to see a lot of numbers up on that banner. We have to get a new one now. But you never want to discount that. What has that meant to this team to go out and win the CVC in a competitive conference?
Well, when I first came in for my second stint 3 years ago, it was expected that you won, and we didn't win, and I think that was a eye-opening experience for these kids. So we won it last year, a co-championships last year with Edgewood, and then this year we won it outright. So we're trending back in the right direction now. So I think it was what the kids expected to do. It was definitely what the kids expected to do and what they wanted to get back to. So it was definitely a very good thing for us to do this year.
Awesome.
Well, and the last couple of weeks, the girls that we've had on, a lot of the seniors have talked about that being the goal at the start of the year and keeping that tradition going. Was it a big emphasis for you at the start of the year, placing that on them, or they just accepted it and knew that's where they needed to go if they wanted to make a run?
You know what? I didn't really put any kind of pressure on them to do anything. We just basically said, let's get better every day and learn and do the fundamentals, and then the winning is going to take care of itself. And so their goal has always been on themselves to win the CVC and then get as far as we want to go in the playoffs. I think we were a little bit disappointed last year in our exit because we had a good season last year, and then this year with the new divisions, we're expecting to go. We want to and expect to go pretty far this year. So. It's always a goal to go as far as we can and to get better, and their kids are buying into that. So
our season wraps up tonight against Chardon.
Correct.
Regular season, I should say, and then we're right into the postseason. We host a game here on next Tuesday, the 20th of May, and if we win that game, then you get to avoid the craziness of next Thursday and go to Hawken for a district championship.
It's not
game.
at Hawken anymore.
Oh, no?
It's at Menor now.
Okay, that's good news. Breaking news here on the podcast.
At least that's the email I read.
Adam Schefter didn't text me.
I need to let you know. I think make sure I'm not reading it incorrectly, but
Okay.
I guess it's been switched to Menor due to a conflict, and it's at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, all right.
So, but I will send you the email to verify.
Okay, please. That would be good. We'll get that out to our folks, and we'll start promoting.
And I
that.
want my parking spot at Menor High that I had during high school. If you can arrange that
let's
too.
see. I'll call Jeff.
So that
Casella,
works out
maybe.
well for us
Yeah.
going to Menor versus Hawkins. So.
Yeah, I agree.
If
All
we can
right.
get there, yes.
So first things first, we got to win that game on
Yes,
Tuesday.
correct.
So let's talk about that matchup. Well, first of all, Chardon tonight. How can you use a game like tonight against a very good Hilltopper team to sort of get us ready for that postseason run?
Well, these past 3 games, actually the past 4 games, including Wycliffe, all had really good pitchers, and we wanted to see fast, good pitchers prior to our playoffs because we know that's what's going to happen in the playoffs. Wycliffe, we came out and had a really good night at the plate, and then we went to Canfield, and obviously Canfield's a really good team, and we had chances in that game. We just didn't get the key hit at the right time, but we were not out of that game at any means at any time of that game. So that was good, and we came out to North, and we were a little banged up, and we didn't start our normal starting lineup. Rosalind Tharp was sitting out to start, and she's our catcher, and that's a big deal when you don't have your catcher playing. And then anyway, we ended up losing that game 3-2. Again, a really good pitcher, but we were in that game and a little bit of adversity. In that game, but we fought, and we're in that game until the last inning as well. And tonight, the North game or the Chardon game tonight will be very similar to that North game. They're very similar teams, and we're hoping to improve on some of the mistakes we made in the North game and win tonight against Chardon. So we've learned a lot through these last 3 games, or these last 2 games in particularly, to hopefully then improve on some things for tonight and then keep that rolling into the Jefferson game on Tuesday.
And this probably doesn't mean anything because it's still a loss, but in that North game, the 3 or 4 double plays that were just 4-3 is just a unique situation to begin with, but to have the same play in multiple innings was an amazing thing to watch later.
You don't see it all the way through the year, and it happens 3 times in one game, and we finally did it right when Morgan did it. We finally, but then we still got out. But she at least did it right.
Yep.
You don't run into the tag in that situation. But we worked at that at practice yesterday. We worked on some, bunt coverage issues that we had in that game, and we worked on some other running plays. A lot of learning yesterday at practice to go through what we didn't execute properly in the game.
And you mentioned earlier, getting better each game, each practice, each game. Do you have checkpoints or certain parts of the season where you look at, is it the first 10 games and evaluate the team, next 10, or do you just kind of take it game by game and evaluate the team that way?
Well, for sure, the Cocoa Beach trip, we looked at that as a whole, looked at stats and what was coming out of there and how we did. And then usually Coach and I, the coaches and I, all 3 of us really, we talk about every game, after every game. We talk about what happened and how we can improve exactly what happened after the North game. We came up with a practice plan based on that game. And then naturally every week I look for a player of the week, so I'm looking at stats every week. So I wouldn't say it's 10 games or whatever, but definitely weekly for sure. And then after every game, we always talk about what happened and how we can improve and get better. So it's an ongoing process. We talk about how we can change lineups, where we can play different players. Maddie Rupert wasn't playing third base at the beginning of the year, and then we made that change, and she's done a nice job at third base for us. And just trying to get our best players in the best position to have us be successful as a team.
And let's talk about that senior. You mentioned Maddie's a senior. We have 6 seniors on the team that have obviously sort of led our program this year. That's what we hope for. Just talk about them as a group and what they've meant to the program over the years. Obviously, this is your 3rd year with them, so from their sophomore year on up, you've been with this group of 6.
Yes, this group of 6 has they were here before me, the year before me, and that was, the tradition was Perry softball wins, and they win the CVC, and they win all the time. And that winning mentality and that work ethic really has helped keep that culture going for our program. And, the kids want to win, and that goes down to the sophomores and the freshmen. They're all in that same mentality. So their leadership and their culture has really helped keep Perry softball competitive.
And one of the sophomores that we kind of touched on the last time, but sometimes after a very good freshman year, you might have a sophomore slump. Ari Rogers has just continued where she left off last year, having another fantastic year, maybe even making a case for CVC MVP this year.
Yeah, she has been fantastic for us in the outfield and batting. We had her batting last year. I know she had a great batting average batting last, and we had her there because she was fast and she was like a second leadoff batter. And then we're like, well, we probably shouldn't keep her there. She had such a good year. So we're like, well, where do we put her in the lineup? And we decided to try her at third batter because, her speed, and we want to keep that speed at the top. And, man, she took that off and went with it. And she's leading our team in every offensive category, almost every offensive category. So she's been phenomenal. And then in the outfield, the catches she's making, the diving catches that she makes look routine, I don't know that there's a better center fielder in our league, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome year for Ari. And then, every team, that's strong up the middle, and we're certainly strong up the middle. So you go from Roz at catcher, you go second base with Infalvi, shortstop with Strahan, and then Ari in center field. I mean, that's right up the middle of that field. Let's talk about the other three. So we just talked about Ari. So Roz, obviously she was injured the other day. That's a huge loss for us when she doesn't play. It puts everything else into a bit of a quandary, right?
Yes,
and
for
then
sure.
Our second base and shortstop are two of the best in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, when you have Maddie and Falvey playing second base and not shortstop, because she'd be the shortstop probably on any other team, you know you're really solid up the middle, because those two are phenomenal in the field, and we are so lucky to have those two, up the middle working for each other and working for our team. It's very strong. And then again with Ari, with the ground she covers in center field, we are very, very strong, and we've improved dramatically on defense. This year, I think I looked it up. I think our fielding percentage as a team is about 95%.
Wow.
So we make the play 95% of the time this year, and that's including some games where we had some subs in there too as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe I'm watching more games this year than last year, but it seems like every single game at least makes one or two plays that not a normal shortstop would make, getting up, making finishing the play, getting the out, saving runs, or however you want to phase it. But how, I don't want to say important issue, because obviously what she does with the bat as well, but just her defense has been an amazing feat this year. And maybe it was there last year and I just overlooked it.
No, she was definitely good last year, but man, this year she is spectacular. Actually, I've been to about 3 or 4 different games where people have come up to me and said, oh, man, who is your shortstop?
Yeah.
And it happened at Canfield. The Canfield coach said something to me, man, your shortstop's really good. She's an athlete. The Geneva, somebody watching the Geneva game said it. One of our old teachers and coaches that didn't know her, that come to watch the games, says it. So I'm asked the most about who is your shortstop.
Yeah.
So obviously she's getting some attention and doing a phenomenal job in the field this year.
That's awesome for Elise. And another important position in softball especially is pitching. So your first year, you only had one pitcher. Maddie Rupert was on her own. Her arm was probably going to fall off. She didn't have a whole lot of help. But each year you've added some pitching to that staff and helped her along. So, last year we've added Morgan. This year, Sophie, Emma Brainerd. We've got 3 or 4 pitchers now. How does that help a team in terms of being flexible in such a key spot?
Well, it's for sure a blessing, and it's not a bad thing to have pitching. I mean, if you go back 3 years ago when we had one pitcher, we couldn't play a full schedule because I didn't want to hurt somebody's arm, so we didn't have as many games we could play. If we got into jams, we didn't really have any option to get, to relieve her, and then we're out there stranded. And so now we have, we can play these difficult schools like Canfield and North and Chardon, and we don't have to pitch a pitcher for the entire game because it's always easier the third time seeing a pitcher through the lineup, so you switch the pitcher, and then they have to adjust. So it's kind of the approach we've been taking with these last couple games, is that we pitch a pitcher for 1 or 2 times through the lineup, and then we can switch the pitcher and hopefully, make the hitters adjust our pitching. So that's kind of what we're doing, and we're doing that to make sure we're confident going into the playoffs. If we need to make a pitching change, who do we go to? When do we go to them? So that's kind of what we're using these last 3 games for.
Awesome.
And in her freshman year, how impressive has Sophie Savant been? I mean, she has really stepped up, pitched in a lot of big games for you guys this year.
Yeah, we weren't sure coming out of CSU because she didn't pitch a whole lot there, and all the pitchers did pretty well at CSU, and then we went to Cocoa Beach, and we're letting the other pitchers pitch to start, and then Sophie would come in and close the door, and really we noticed her down there and that she was dominant when she was on the mound. She got ahead of the batters and really did a nice job getting us out of some jams. So we gave her a shot to start, and she just went with it, and she took it over and never looked back. She's been really good.
Not to overlook Chardon tonight, but coming up Tuesday, Jefferson opens up the playoffs, a team that you've already seen twice. So what should the viewers know about Jefferson and your mindset facing a team for a third time?
Well, Jefferson is a very well-coached team, and they have a lot of experience and a lot of talent. Their record is about 500, but they play a very difficult schedule. We played a very difficult schedule. They played a little bit of a harder schedule according to Max Preps.
Okay.
So they're coming in with experience, and they have a lot of travel ball players on their team, and they're good. And it's going to be a great game on Tuesday, and we are fully expecting to be competitive, and we're going to win that game, hopefully.
Okay. Well, our only loss in the CVC
Yes.
was to Jefferson.
Correct.
So we've split with them, 1-1 on the season against them. Seeing a team 3 times, is there advantages, disadvantages to that at all?
Well, the second time we faced them, they did not throw their pitcher, and we did not throw Sophie.
Okay.
So, that helps us because that helps us defensively because we have 3 pitchers, they only have 2. So, we have another one that they haven't seen still.
Yeah.
So we have that going for us.
Okay.
And then, we saw their pitcher already, so that should help our batters. We know what we need to practice, and we have been practicing that for the last couple weeks. And so it's good and bad, right? It's good and bad. So we know what we need to do to beat them, and we're working on it. And the second time we played them, we were dominant in that game, and we won. And so we have confidence going in there that we can win again.
Good.
And thinking back to that first game, I want to say you guys hit the ball well, and their outfield, I think, made some plays that we, at that point of the time, have not or did not see a normal outfield make, and maybe taking some of those hits or what would have been hits away. So, in that second game, we were able to find gaps and
Correct.
Almost double them up.
Yes, correct. It was the hits fell in the second time, not the first time. But we hit the ball hard the first time. It's just right at them. And we had a different defensive lineup in that first game. We're different now, so it should be a good game on Tuesday for sure.
All right, and not that we're looking past. Certainly, you obviously have a lot of respect for Jefferson just based on what you've said here. But if we do win on Tuesday, we play Thursday. We'll confirm that Menor location. That would actually be a good thing to play that game, and even a little earlier in the day would be a good thing. Who's on the other side of the bracket? Are we projecting who we would play in that game, or is it just one game at a time for you right now?
Well, I mean, I know who it would be.
Yeah.
I'm not assuming that we're going to win. We're
Yeah.
going to go out there and play hard on Tuesday.
Sure.
But if we do win, we would play the winner of Edgewood and Streetsboro. They're playing
Okay.
right now, or they're going to
Okay.
play in the next game. Both
Okay.
teams are very good.
Yeah.
Not as familiar with Streetsboro because we
Sure.
haven't played them, and we
Right.
played Edgewood twice. But
Right.
both teams will be very good, and whoever we see, if when we get there,
Yeah.
we'll
Cross that
figure
bridge,
it out, right?
Okay.
How enjoyable has this second stint as head coach been? Rejuvenated and enjoying it?
Yes.
Stressful?
It's stressful. Yeah, it's definitely stressful. It's been fun. I told the girls, a lot of times at the end, it's a good thing and a bad thing when it ends, right? You're
Sure.
done. But man, I don't want the season to end. This
Yeah.
has been a fun season. It's fun with all the girls. They're great, and I'm getting a lot of times you could tell some of the players just want it to be done, but I'm not getting that sense this year. I think the players want to keep going. They've been saying it. They're ready to go,
Yeah.
and they're starting to believe it.
That's awesome. Well, one last question. We'll get you out of here, Coach. So what you mentioned second stint. How has the game changed? The game of fast pitch softball changed since your first stint? Maybe in your first couple years of being a head softball coach. Now here we are. It's 2025. What's changed over those years?
Well, for one, the pitching mound was at 40 feet and not 43, so there were a lot of strikeouts. And we had one of the best pitchers in the area in Pam Bykowski, and you look at the records, and she holds them all for pitching, and she was dominant. So we didn't have to be as good defensively because the ball didn't get put in play much.
Right.
And offensively, we didn't have to be as good because we didn't have to score more than like 2 or 3 runs to win games. So that was the biggest. Hitting and defense have been really the difference. There's a big emphasis on hitting since my first time, and it's not as much. It's still a pitcher-dominated game for sure, but there's definitely a lot more hitting and
Yeah.
defense that gets played now than back my
At
first
43
time.
feet, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And it does sound like a lot. It's only 3 feet.
But it's a lot.
It's
That's
a
extra
lot.
time.
It for sure. It takes that MPH off the
Yeah.
off the pitcher for sure a little bit. So, all right, Coach Carino, thanks for being here. Best of luck in the postseason here as we open up at home next Tuesday against Jefferson. Just to give a heads up, anybody coming in the game, this is an OHSAA rule, not a Perry rule. You do have to pay to get in, so it's a little bit different. Obviously, people come up to a softball or baseball game or a tennis match, or they're not used to paying. Tuesday, you're gonna have to pay. The money goes to the OHSAA. It's their tournament, so we'll handle that. You handle
Yes.
the on-field stuff. We'll
We will
handle the
handle that.
off-field stuff.
Yes.
But come on up, 5 p.m. next Tuesday, May 20th. Best of luck.
Thank
we'll
you.
be there. All right, Coach.
All
Thanks
right,
for being
thank you
here.
very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
Coach Carino. Exciting time of year, obviously, for a lot of our sports, but certainly as we start, that softball trek here, as she mentioned, looking to atone for. Admittedly, everybody was disappointed last year, so it's going to be a fun run this year. I'm positive of that.
Yeah, and as she was talking about, a lot of the records that this senior class has set, from Elise to Maddie to Roz, this whole group they're going to leave their legacy with a number of records that might never be touched again.
Right.
During Perry softball's history. So
Yep.
this has been this group of 6 plus the underclassmen. This has been a very fun season for anyone that has not been able to see a game yet.
Yeah, it really it's again, hopefully things go well. I know Jefferson did get us that one time, but when they played us up here, we took it to them, and I know that's the plan. And I didn't want to get into this with Coach. I don't want to put any too much pressure on, but if we do win the next 2 games, so 20th and 22nd, we play again on the 28th at the regionals, site to be determined, but we play at 2 o'clock. We're scheduled to have our spring sports awards that night, Mr. Kellogg, so stay tuned if we might have to be altering that date by a day or 2, or I don't know what we would do there, but if they win the next 2, they're in regional play, a regional semifinal, they would be district champs and play on the 28th. So best of luck to our softball team. I know it's an exciting time, and we'll see how they do against Chardon tonight, using that as a little warm-up for next Tuesday. But another exciting team. The record, the number just keeps going up, and it's at 20 right now. 20 wins, 3 losses for the number 5 team in the top of the crop, News Herald, our baseball team. And, and 2 of those losses were like early on, back-to-back games in late March, early April to West Geauga. And ultimately cost us, we'll have Coach Platt on here next week, and he'll talk about it. That cost us the chance at a CVC championship. Hawken, even though we beat Hawken twice, who won the CVC in baseball, they had less losses. They didn't lose to anybody else. And so we had 3, they had 2, and it is what it is. So they're on a hot streak now, though. They've won, I don't know how many games in a row at this point, but if they had 2 losses back in early April, and here we are, it's May 16th, they haven't lost a whole lot in between.
Yeah, 4 wins since the last time we were on. They play tonight against Lake Catholic. They've been playing a lot of night games, a lot of games under the lights.
Yeah.
But tonight they're going to be at Classic Park in Eastlake.
Yeah, Classic Park is always a fun game. They do a great job over there inviting the Lake County teams out or the area teams out to play. So it's going to be a beautiful night, obviously, going out to Classic Park. It's going to be a great matchup, too. Lake Catholic is the number 1 seed in all of Northeast Ohio in Division 4. We were the number 5 seed. So 2 really strong programs going at each other tonight out at Classic. And I don't think we see them for quite a while. We'd both have to really make a deep run postseason. So I'd anticipate us, throwing one of our better pitchers, and same for Lake Catholic. They both play next Thursday, so it lines up for that pitcher to get some rest and be ready for next Thursday. So I'd anticipate a really, really good game out at Captain Stadium tonight.
And looking forward to next Tuesday with their playoff game here at Perry. They're going to face a familiar team in Orange, a team they beat twice this year, but in 2 very close games.
And Orange has, like Coach Carino said about Jefferson, they have about a 500 record. But they played us. We played back-to-back games here because of rain and weather out at Orange. Their field was not ready. So they played at Perry twice, and the same exact score back-to-back days was 4-3. So, great for us that we got those wins, but that means it's hard to beat a good team 3 times. So we will be on alert and ready for Orange next Thursday at 5 p.m. because we certainly know they can play some ball, and we need to be ready to go and at the top of our game to advance on from that one.
And on the boys tennis side, their season, the CVC champs, their season comes to an end down in sectionals. A couple of wins in some of the matches, but ultimately not being able to advance.
Yeah, we had 3 teams or individuals with go-to matches to get to the district level. So our doubles team of Benny and Alex Dame lost to St. John. And that match was a go-to match to districts. Andrew Morris, Bronson Denholm lost to the number 3 seeded team from Norton. And I talked to Andrew a little bit after that, and he was like, we didn't play great. We felt like we could have done better and actually beat that team. So they were knocking on the door to districts. And Caden Brewster on the singles side was in a third set tie break that went to 20-18. So he was certainly literally just a couple of points away from moving on. And those are, he's only a sophomore, though. All those guys that I just mentioned, except for Alex, obviously our lone senior on the team, they'll all be back. They're all sophomores. They've got 2 more years left. And so I know I saw Caden out there hitting the other day after school. They're already getting after it and getting ready for next year. But a great year. CVC champs, 13-3, and certainly nothing to be ashamed of at that sectional level, being that close to getting that many kids and teams out.
And last week we had Coach Allen on for girls flag football.
Yes.
They made it down to Brown Stadium. Unfortunately, their season came to an end with a loss to Rhodes.
Yeah, Rhodes, it was a 6-0 game at halftime, and they got another touchdowner and a safety in the second half to sort of pull away, but we were never out of the game. Had a tough call. Emily Meckenbauer made a catch in the end zone in the corner. I saw her foot was down. The official said it wasn't down. That's how it goes. That would have tied the game, but they had a great year. Just to get down to Brown Stadium is an accomplishment. Only 16 teams throughout the entire Northeast District of Ohio. So then it's not division-based either. I mean, that's all schools. So most of the schools there were bigger. We had a couple. Berkshire was there. Edgewood was there. We had a couple of schools from the CVC. It was good to see those CVC schools down there. Wycliffe was down there. So a great year for the girls, and it's just continuing to build. And the sport is going to continue to build. It's getting support from the NFL, obviously the Browns, the Bengals in Ohio, the OHSAA. It will be a OHSA sport here in the near future. I'm not going to put a timetable on it, but at some point it will be an OHSA sport, and the Browns have done a great job of supporting it. Coach Stefanski was out there the other day. Several players were down there sort of rooting the girls on. So a great experience for our team and for our coaches. Mindy Allen was Coach of the Week last week for the Browns for the girls flag. So she's gotten some good recognition, and I know that she could care less about that. She just wants to build the sport and continue to build our team. So hats off to our girls flag team.
And we started this talking about a busy week leading into a busier next week, but also, I saw the prep going on for the golf outing in your office before we walked down.
Right.
Plus graduation coming up this weekend.
Yeah, graduation Sunday, so we'll sort of work backwards. 1 p.m. It's an earlier start time than it's been in the past. Our golf outing is tomorrow. We want to thank all the people who are heading out to Madison Country Club it's a noon lunch, 1 o'clock shotgun. We've got about 22, 23 groups, so that's about normal for us. But thanks. It looks like the weather's going to hold. It's going to be a nice day for us to get some golf in and support the Booster Club. And then, obviously our youth summer camp is right around the corner as well for a lot of our teams, and that's all on our website, perrypirates.org. You can access all of it. You can register right there on the website. Through hometown ticketing. You can pay directly on the website. So it's very streamlined, very easy to do. And we know those are a popular thing in the summer for kids to come up and sort of the younger kids be part of our program for a couple of days and see these high school athletes. They'll be the counselors at these camps, and they'll get to see our coaches and our players in action and help them start to develop, because they will all be Perry Pirates one day. They'll all be up here and ready to go, and that's part of the process of it all. So take a look at those summer camps on our website. Cheerleading tryouts, Wednesday and Friday of next week. So just adding to our busyness of next week. We're already getting ready for fall. And then the cheerleaders will try out Wednesday and Friday of next week, and I think that wraps it up for week 35.
I mean, there was a lot jam-packed into that, this little stint here, but a lot of postseasons have begun, are underway, and will continue to keep you updated as these teams make their runs towards championships.
Yeah, so depending on when we do this, when we shoot this pod next week, just a reminder: softball Tuesday 5 p.m. at home, baseball home on Thursday 5 p.m., track home for districts Thursday and Saturday. Thursday 3:30 field events, 5 o'clock running. Saturday 10 a.m. and 11:30 field and running respectively. And I think that'll wrap it up. It'll be enough for us our campus will be busy. Parking will be at a premium. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Until next week, go Pirates.